Sure.
Okay, so my favorite one to talk about, depression.
Oh,
As
depression.
depressing as that sounds, ironically. So this is mainly just going to be about like if the viewer right now has a certain trouble with depression, then this may be the kind of topic for you. We can discuss it in the comments below. Just comment, like, subscribe, favorite, and yeah. So depression is beyond a it's beyond a burden for us human beings. As far as I know, in recent studies, America, the United States of America, is by far significantly the nation with the highest mentally ill in the world. And that being said, they're not all depressed people. They're not all schizophrenic people. They're not all one type of mental disorder, but mentally ill. But depression is a very common mental illness here in the United States. Khalil, do you know any people that are depressed? You don't have to say their
Uh,
names or anything, but do you know anybody?
yeah.
The
I
majority of
mean,
them.
it's a pretty big problem,
It is. Us humans,
and
it's such a very. I remember when I was like 5 years old, I had no idea what the hell depression was. I had no idea what ADHD was, and it's sad to see that we can see other. And this kind of goes back to the nuclear war thing, but we're not going to get into that. It's kind of sad to see that blissful obliviousness has now become a very awareness about the suffering of other human beings with depression. What were you gonna say?
I don't know. I'm thinking right
Oh,
now
sorry.
about like what we were talking before. I was like, what if a monkey had like depression? Like, could a monkey have depression?
I don't know. I'll research
Like,
that.
like because like mental illness seems like such a human thing, and it seems like almost like this self awareness is like a burden on us, because like I don't know. To my knowledge, most animals don't have mental illnesses, or they don't go insane unless they have like some sort of birth defect. But like I don't know, it's such a. I know it's overdiagnosed depression, to at least in the U.S. and Canada and probably most Western nations, and like people are pretty quick to give depression on
Oh,
someone.
first off, I'd like to say something. Did you say you don't know if other animals can be depressed or mentally ill?
I don't know. I think both, but
I
could they be
first,
mentally ill?
of course, you'll see these animals, these dogs and cats that have PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, and that's from mistreating. That's from being mistreated by human beings. Recently in my city, there was a huge dog fighting bust, and I believe it was above well a dozen of dogs. They were all very very mauled. They were harmed badly,
It's
and
interesting.
it was undrinkable water, rarely any food, and just a very horrible environment. And now they're being treated at a vet where at some point in their lifetime, again, hopefully, there will be another human being to come along and show them what actual human beings are and not what animals we can be. This being said, we are animals, but we just are more curious. That being said, we wonder about these things. I'm not reading this off the article, by the way. We can wonder about these things that other animals can't. A monkey, for example, cannot wonder, does a human have PTSD? Because I know I do. It can't think that way. We think that way, but it doesn't think how we do because we're, once again, more self-aware. So, like, of the war dogs, correct? Dogs that go in with our troops to, go through Afghanistan, sniff out bombs, things of that
Yeah,
nature.
yeah.
They also have PTSD, for example.
That I never thought about that, but now that you mention it, like I think I've heard of that, and like
I
I
can
can
see that.
see that happening for like military dogs. And like
Oh yeah.
I would be really interested to see how they treat that. How do you treat a mental illness of a non-human that you can't necessarily like speak language to?
Well,
Like,
dogs
how do you
treat
get in the
us.
mind of a dog?
You don't. Um, Sorry,
You don't.
being blunt here, but
No, no, no. I think it's
the
interesting.
it is. It very is. It very is. LOL grammar, and it is extremely interesting. The soldiers that come back from Iraq and Afghanistan from any country most likely will suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder if they have been in a situation like that, and the dogs that are treating these people don't get inside their minds. They can sense the feelings, the energy that you have and I have, and they comfort you, not with talking, but just pet me. Can you pet me? Thanks, bro. Just that's basically what they do.
Yeah.
So I think just being around and
Like,
treating the dog as best as we can, and distracting it, is probably the best we can do, unless we give it medication. I don't know. That's interesting.
so shouldn't the same apply to depression? Like, I know there's like pills for depression. There's like therapies you can do.
But that's not good enough. We need to be able to
Yeah.
treat this on our level, not just
No, I feel like
medication.
it would the same principle that like you need like a companion, that you need like, oh, comfort me when I'm feeling down, distract me from like how like whatever I saw before, or like PTSD, whatever the mental illness is. I feel like a similar principle applies to any like animal, I guess.
Hmm.
Because like I don't know, I'm not too educated on all of the research and everything,
Neither am
but
I.
I think it'd be like a good, not indicator, but like a good kind of model or example to look at like these animals that you can't even communicate with them, but they still are. They're suffering from something like a mental issue. Like, how do you cure them? I get like from what you're saying and from
I
what I
don't
can see
I
is
don't think we can cure any illness at this point. Many different treatments for cancer have been developed and are being used. Chemotherapy, for example, but there is no known cure for cancer. But that's a different type of disease. There is no known cure for depression because we as human beings will always suffer through it. There's medication that can suppress it and enlighten us, like happy pills, but for the most part, there is no known cure. We can set it off and delay it, but we really physically and mentally just can't cure it. And I think that's how it is. That's how it's going to be forever. We as human beings are not that advanced. We're not that able to. We have certain limits that we can't cure certain things, and depression and mental illness is one of them. We can suppress it. We can help it and maybe even cure it for a certain amount of time, like taking pills for with your ADHD, but for example, but for the most part we can never cure any mental illness.
yeah. I guess that's true.
And
I feel like there's situations where I don't know. Have you read 1984?
no,
Well, it's a good read. You should read it right there. I feel like I've told you that before.
yeah, you did. I
Yeah.
remember. Go on.
Like it's about kind of suppressing the thoughts of people and like where the central authority, the government, like manipulates and controls how people think, and they try to control language, how people speak, like what people can think. And I feel like maybe if I like it's obviously idealistic and it probably can happen, but in a scenario like that where you're really manipulating like thoughts of someone and like how their brain develops, like one of the points that they make in the book is that your thoughts are usually, not always, but usually confined to language. Like you think in a certain language and you have terms for like certain feelings and things like that. And if you like, I don't know, it's kind of ambiguous in the book, but the question is if you manipulate language and you make certain terms like non-existence, like if the word depression or the word like sadness didn't exist and we weren't able to articulate that feeling, would we be able to suppress that feeling like within ourselves?
I think we. Okay, I have a very good example, a comparison. Now, suppressing it's different, but I think the placebo effect, for example, is It's an ingenious thing. Many people are stunned why humans don't use it all the time. I recently got a cut on my thumb from slicing up a couple things. I'm not emo. I don't cut myself, but it burned for a little bit. So I went downstairs and I got some water, put it on it, and then I said all better. Then I cut off the blood circulation with the water, cooled it down, ice. I mean, and it felt immediately better. And it's not that the blood circulation was cut off. I was still cut. It was still burning, but I suppressed it. And we can't explain why the feeling we get. Like why. Wait, there's some background noise.
Oh, is that me?
No, you're good. You're good. But
okay.
The placebo effect, for example, is like something we can't explain, but we are still able to use it. We as human beings that have developed language to a certain extent will most likely never be able to explain what color looks like, feels like, smells like, even to a person that is blind. We cannot tell them blue is a cool feeling because they don't know what blue is. They can think it's red, or they can think it's green and think that's cool, or maybe even white and just blank or black or whatever. I mean, we can give them an ice cube and say that's blue, and they still don't know what blue looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That's like
I know what you mean about the placebo thing. I think there is some science around it. I was watching this one ASAP Science video. I don't know if you know ASAP Science.
Love ASAP Science, Minute Physics, Minute Earth. I love that.
Maybe it was ASAP Science. It was on the placebo effect. I think it's worth checking out. Like, I think they're kind of starting to get some like neuroscience and like chemistry of the placebo effect. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's still kind of in the air, and I know what you mean. Like, if we can just cure ourselves,
why don't we just do it
by thinking about it? Why don't we just will ourselves to get better?
Right.
I know what you mean.
Exactly.
And
it's an ingenious
I don't know. It's
thing.
an interesting question.
Yes.
And maybe the science can point us toward an answer.
I hope it does, because that is an amazing thing.
I'll try and find that video.
I remember it was from the Royal Institute. Is what I remember. But I believe it was from the Royal Institute.
Oh yeah. You know what? Yeah. Did you watch that one?
Yes, I loved it. The guy.
Yeah.
Like, there was this one idiot. Like, well, this didn't explain it at all. I'm like, what part of unexplainable science questions do you not understand?
Yeah.
And,
yeah. Oh yeah, it was part of that Ask 10.
Yes, all-time 10s.
All-time 10. Ask the top YouTubers unexplainable questions.
Right. So,
like Vsauce awesome. Had that one.
I love Vsauce.
Why awesome. Do we know anything?
Or how do we know anything? Yeah.
How do we know anything? Veritasium had what did he have? The alien? Did he have aliens? Are there no aliens?
Of aliens? It was Minute Physics, I believe. ASAP Science. Yep, it was ASAP Science. Yeah.
I don't know. It was that was a good series. They should do that again.
Yeah, really. Like, by the way, back to depression real quick. A lot of humans can feel. I don't know if you can hear the background noise. I'm closing a Coke bottle, a Pepsi bottle, but sorry. A lot of humans do feel depression, and it's very sad, and it's not the feeling, but it's sad to think that we as human beings, as advanced as we will ever get, we'll never be able to cure ourselves with this. We'll always have depression at one point in our lifetime. We will one day feel depressed, we will one day feel saddened, and we will one day die, inevitably. And that's just how mental illness is, whether temporary or not. I remember there was this on Uberfacts Twitter at Uberfacts, one man that was mentally ill. I don't know what exactly it was. He was failing college. He was not doing well. He didn't have any friends, and so he shot himself in the head. With that bullet, it took out the tumor or whatever it was, and it cured himself. And he was perfectly fine. Went to a straight A student. Went on to be successful. And it's that kind of stuff that we have cured ourselves, but it's a very sad thing to realize he will one day inevitably feel sad. And depression is a bit of sad. It's like the square can be a rectangle, but a rectangle can't be a square. Sad can be depressed, but depressed cannot be... No. Depressed can be sad, but sad cannot be depressed. Because I can feel sad about losing my cookie, but I'm not going to get depressed and think about death. About a cookie that I dropped. Because that's just not how I am. Unless you're like a food addict, but that's different. I want to move into one thing about the extinction thing again, but go on. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I looked up the that case about the guy that shot himself.
Uh huh.
It was like he had like phobia, kind
Something
of like
phobia.
a irrational fear of a bunch of things,
Oh, I
and
see.
he was cured of that when he
Shot
had the
himself.
brain injury. Yeah,
Yeah, that's amazing.
he washed his hands hundreds of times a day. I guess that's kind of OCD, or
I
maybe it's a
guess
phobia of germs or something. And he,
germophobia, perhaps.
yeah, I bet you it was
Sounds like
that.
it. Yeah, sounds like it. Well done. Very fast. You looked that up. Thank you.
It was on New York Times.
Ah, very well.
I'll link you actually.
I'll put that in the description just in case. The real quick, I want to go into the extinction thing. This could make you guys a bit sad. Like I don't know, it doesn't make me sad at all. Like thinking about this, but we as human beings are reproducing at a very high rate with medical breakthroughs that now allow the elder to live and allow females to give birth and still live is and with a very high reproduction rate thanks to medical breakthroughs we are now seeing a very higher than Bob Marley rate of population on the world. We'll even out
Higher than Bob
1250.
Marley.
Yeah, at 10 billion we will, and 2050 we'll even out at 10 billion. And oh shit, what the hell was that? It's a bomb. And sorry, felt like a bomb dropped on me. Anyway, we as human beings, no matter how advanced we will get, I'm gonna quote, not quote. I'm going to put Isaac Asimov's The Last Question in the description. I want you guys to go check that link out. It's a very interesting read, and it does point out some flaws in our logic here. But let's say you have a tall glass of water. The universe is the water inside that glass. The glass is just time. When I spill that water, the glass breaks across the floor. I spilled it off of a counter, let's say. The glass breaks across the floor, and now the water is infinitely expanding until an outside force acts upon it, like a person wiping it up, or it gets too thin to where it can no longer expand. And that is where the universe is heading. It is infinitely expanding, at least theorized as it is, and it is like the water. The water can only expand so much until it is too thin for us to see. And that being said, no matter how advanced we as human beings will ever get, no matter how amazing in technology we will ever do, and whatever amazing things in technology we will ever do, we will never be able to survive and thrive forever in the whole universe. In Isaac Asimov's science fiction book, The Last Question, there were millions of galaxies filled with human beings, and the question was, what happens if we're going to run out of resources? How will we be able to travel from here to here? How will we be able to get humans from there to there? And what sources of energy will be able to be used? If you think about infinite amount of energies, for the speed of light, for example, there is no infinite amount of energy for the most part. There is the sun, but that doesn't last forever. That doesn't have all the energy needed to, do whatever we need to do. It can power planets, of course, but it will one day run out, and it's not infinite. So what that implies is that we will never have an actual infinite amount of energy. A generator has to have a different power source in order for it to generate power. The fact that we are reproducing, and if we never find another species that rather wipes us out or helps us, or we wipe ourselves out, and we continue to thrive and live in the universe, and we continue to overpopulate galaxies, that universe, the water, will infinitely expand until it's too thin for us to actually live in. What I mean by that is, according to NASA, if the dark matter is becoming too thick and it's slowing down reproduction in the universe's size, and the stars are not dying off enough, and they're not reproducing either, then the universe can die out eventually. And with that being said, there's nothing that can't kill us. The universe can collapse on us at any point in time. It can kill us off right now as I record this, and that's just how things are. No matter how advanced we will ever get, we cannot we cannot actually defy this. We can't defy the fact that we will all die one day, and accidents, shit happens. That's how things are. Am I right? Shit happens. I mean, one day you'll be perfectly fine at the age of 300,035 years old, and then you get in a car wreck, and well, your bones fractured a bunch of places, but yeah, I mean, you can still live in a way if you cut off your head and put yourself in a jar of water. Hypothetically speaking, but am I rambling here? Or is this pretty clear?
You're rambling a bit. No, I get what you're saying. It kind of blows my mind that like we could die in the next second and like we would never recognize it. We'd just be dead.
Yeah.
It's not like we would know what hit us. A nuke could fall on me right now, and I would be incinerated and like never even know.
Oh, so I was trying to do something funny, like as soon as they say, so I was talking about, and then stop, and then I put a sound effect of nuke. That'd be funny.
So YOLO.
Yeah, YOLO. You only lag once. Call of Duty.
Yeah, that too.
That too, indeed. So, what are your thoughts on extinction? Like, I'm sorry, we're already over this topic, and but the mass reproduction rates that we are at right now, couldn't you agree with me here? We will one day run out of space, even if we somehow arrive to that day where we have developed certain engines.
I don't know, you're talking on like a pretty big scale, which is like good, but like even on our lower scale, like we're like rapidly reproducing at such a high rate. I don't know if you saw that Vsauce video. It was like how many people can the world support?
I remember that one. No.
Okay, I'll dig it up too.
I can't.
I don't remember the actual number, but it was talking about like how based on like the resources of the world, like approximately how many people could survive on Earth, and like because we obviously have limited resources here, and I don't know, like at least with our modern technology, space expansion, it's kind of realistic, but it's also kind of like most things are really extremely far away.
Right, and I know mine was extremely far out, extremely exaggerated.
Like I think
it's true. It is true.
Does it take a year to get to Mars?
No. Scientists are developing an engine. It takes 7 months, but scientists are developing an engine, a new fusion engine.
Like 7 months is crazy.
It is, but they're developing a new engine that can allow astronauts, cosmonauts. I love the name cosmonauts. Russians have it so much better. But they're developing this engine that can allow us to travel there in 30 days.
Like that's still pretty good, but 30 days to get to the nearest planet, that's pretty insane. Like considering that Mars can't support us as is, like we would need oxygen, we would need water to be shipped there, we would need we would need so many earthly resources to sustain ourselves on Mars. Unless we mutated to like become like algae. Like it's so unrealistic to be living on another planet. I don't see humanity like surviving past Earth. It just we can try it, and maybe we'll succeed in small numbers, but
that's amazing to think how self-aware you are just now. You realize we most likely and probably will not be able to survive past Earth, and that's just how things are. We're not that stable as a species, and that's exactly how things are. That's the deal. And I don't really mind it. I mean, it's amazing to think.
I mean, it's not going to affect me. I'm going to be long dead before humanity dies out. Right. But damn it, what would it? I like how sci-fi. I don't know. I haven't read that much sci-fi, but sci-fi always kind of goes into like living on other planets, different universes, different galaxies, which is cool and all, but it's so unrealistic. Like I would like to see a book on like what it would like to be the last humans. I feel like kind of like space travel things are like really popular and like really overdone, but they're like really far-fetched and unrealistic. Like obviously I guess we dream about that stuff, kind of like it's really fantasized. Like it would be really interesting to see what like authors have to say about like what it would be like to be the last human after like all the resources that like how depressed would you be if you're the last guy standing on Earth?
Oh
Or
man, I
like,
would hate that.
what does it feel like? Damn, I should write a book like that.
Hmm.
What would it feel like to be the last person?
The world's shortest horror story has two sentences. The last man on earth sits in a room. There's a knock on the door. That's okay. My OCD
That's
is
like
really
great.
tripping me out. I'm watching the time we've been talking. It's like an hour 37 minutes. It just skipped from an hour 37 and 43 seconds to 47. I mean, come on, really, Skype? Get your shit together. I'm getting real tidy. Oh shit, Skype. But
Damn, that's oh.
real quick, the 1 hour 38 minutes. The whole thing about the self-awareness thing. It's amazing either way. It's amazing to think how humbling this is. To be able to go outside of our own bodies and realize we will die eventually, and so will our species. We will not be able to repopulate throughout galaxies. We will not be able to repopulate throughout other solar systems, most likely. And that's just how things are. Even though Mars cannot sustain us, and there's only a limited source of power and resources that we can bring from Earth to Mars, it's still very strong burden to think that we will never be able to survive and thrive throughout the universe. And perhaps we'll just be another speck in another solar system.
We'll be our speck.
We'll be our own speck. Yes, we are our speck. We are the most important speck. But
True.
It's amazing to think that throughout our observable universe, not the universe itself, but the observable universe, how huge it is, and yet we have found no life. And it's very sad that there appears to be nothing on Earth, and this is coming from a Ramesses B song, Astro, I believe it's called, Asteroid. There appears to be nothing that will come and save us, and that's just how things are. I'm sorry, I'm rambling here, and I'm trying to get my point across as best as I can, but there's so much to talk about here. There's the fact that we cannot control anything else but our own, what we eat, for example. I can go and drink as much Pepsi and sugar as I want, and that's the only thing I can control. I can't control the diabetes I may contract from that, and it's amazing to think on such a scale of the universe, like I was saying before, Leon, I'm sorry I'm, rambling here, but on such a larger scale, if we are repopulating throughout the whole universe and we run out of space, it's still humbling to think that we made it that far, and it's something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see us actually ever getting that far.
I don't think so either.
I don't know, it kind of sucks. I would love to, survive as humanity long enough to meet another species.
Oh man, that'd be awesome.
Or to discover
an intelligent species.
But the amount of time humans will exist isn't long enough. It takes 4 light years to get to the nearest star. I think it's 22 light years to the nearest Earth-like planet or something like that. That's 22 years of electromagnetic radiation.
Good enough for me. I don't care.
That's I don't know. At least in my lifetime, I don't think we will have ever reached that point where we'll at least even recognize that there's intelligent species.
Yeah.
Maybe very, very close to the end of humanity, we'll start getting signals from somewhere else.
We have before, but we don't know what it is. Go on.
Have we? I think it's just mostly background radiation.
There's this one part in light years and light years and light years away, hundreds of them, and it's near a black hole, and there's a strong as hell. Oh shit, that scared the hell out of me. Stop moving your damn laptop, you're scaring me. There's this huge radio wave, strong, extremely strong, coming from near a black hole, and we have picked it up out of nowhere. We picked it up where there was nothing. Now there is something, and it's significant, but we don't know what it is still. And it's near a black hole, and it's not intelligent species as we know, because for the most part, you really can't survive near a black hole, as far as I know. Yep.
That's really interesting. I'm going to look that up.
See, what I would do in a black hole, if I were being sucked in, I would just take the cyanide pill I have in my pocket. That's what I would do. Fuck that shit. I'm not going to get spaghettified. I do not want that shit.
No, that'd be sick. What if you, that would be such an
That'd be
honor to be
painful as hell. You're
the
an idiot.
first human ever to be okay, you'd be dead by like the second. There's
No,
no oxygen. How would like okay,
you
this is
gotta
obviously unrealistic.
gotta breathe
I would
back.
feel that would be an epic way to go though. Like
Eh,
okay, most deaths on Earth are boring. Like freaking cancer, too typical.
Shut up.
Suicide, please. Like
Shut
like
up. Oh my.
imagine on a thousand ways to die. Fell into a black hole.
On
Dude,
accident. I
it's
tripped.
legendary.
He tripped.
Legendary.
Whatever.
Tripped and fell into black hole. I would do that shit.
I wouldn't. I mean, first human to take a cyanide pill in the black hole. That's what I would go for.
Oh man, that would be sick. I want to
would
die
do
in a
that.
black hole.
No, I would not. By the way, the one more thing, and then you can say whatever you want, but the way human beings are, the way we are based around based based around religion, and we have no idea what will happen after death, even though the comforting blanket called religion will tell us that we go to heaven or hell or purgatory, depending on what the hell we did. But it's sad to think that we as a species will never find this out. We'll never know what's beyond our own death. And it's also sad to think that we'll never meet another intelligent species. We can't physically meet another species in our lifetime because we do not have that technology, and it seems like we're not ready for that with our state of mind.
Well, I personally don't see any reason to believe that there's anything after death. Like, we're just like any other animal. We just happen to have like self-awareness to come up with these like theories about like, oh, what happens to us after death and stuff. But like, I don't see any evidence, or like not even evidence. We're just like something that points that we should live. It's kind of just our internal like desire to live forever, that oh we'll go somewhere after we die. But like also, like what would be the reason? Like
What do you mean?
I know it's like maybe it's not the right question, but why would we have something after death? Like what purpose would life after death serve? What purpose would a soul serve? Like, would it serve any purpose? Is it just like our life is kind of just there? Like, why does there have to be something more? You know what I mean?
Right. Sort of.
Like,
I know
like
what
if
you're
you
saying.
can't find a why in life, I don't see that there should be a why, like a reason for an like afterlife or whatever you label it.
Well,
It doesn't seem there. Like I can't even answer why for why am I here, or why is there anything, why is there existence, why is there life?
see, I was going into that. I went outside of my body for a minute, and like a month ago, and I was thinking about that. Why
And
are
like
we here? What
if I
created
can't
us?
even answer that question, if there maybe and at least to my knowledge there is no answer to that question, how can there even be a chance at like there being an answer to like an afterlife or like a reason for that stuff?
Well, the- do you remember Drifter's new Epic Dream commentary? It was pretty recent. The
I
full
remember listening to it, but everything he said kind of slipped through my mind. Something about mirrors. That's all I remember.
it was a mirror world, and he was in basically. He met this creature that was far superior and far more disgusting than any human being has ever been, except for Honey Boo Boo's mother, and and it can read the fourth dimension, and it's much more superior in that way and many other. It does not need to fight for survival. It is purely there, and it has always been there, and it will always be there. It has been to other dimensions. It has disguised itself in order to be around other dimensions. It can now read the fourth dimension, and it's much more superior than any species in the whole universe and other universes. And that being said, is there a species out there that's like us? Is there a species like us at least? Is there a species that is far more superior than us? Is there a different species that doesn't need to know this stuff, that already accepts it and accepts that it will never find these questions out, and that it will never meet another species like we are thinking of right now? And in my fucking Skype just skipped another second, Jesus Christ, and it's really a downer to think that there could or could not be other superior species and races out there. And don't say white power. Swear to God, you're getting blocked if you say that in the comment section. But there is no superior species that we know of right now. There's only us, and we are truly the loneliest species in the solar system right now. And we can never discuss this with another species because no other species in the solar system understands our problem, our conflict with the universe. And that's just my thoughts there. I mean, no other species that we know of will ever know of these troubles and this burden that we as human beings carry. It's both a burden and a gift to be able to know and accept death, and be able to know that death is inevitable, and all these questions to humanity and the universe that we'll never know. We'll never find out. And I believe it's a gift.
I would love to like meet another species. I can almost guarantee that there's multiple intelligent species out there.
I hope there is.
Like, we can't just be a one-off. Like, humans can't understand how vast the universe is. Like, even though we're like, oh, it's this many light years, like, no one comprehends how many actual planets, like, quadrillions and quadrillions of planets that, like, have the possibility of life.
Well, we're not that intelligent yet. There is a certain point in the universe to where after something called a white hole, don't make a sexist joke there, but there's something called a black hole and then a white hole, and it's basically when, I believe, two black holes combine to make a white hole or something of that nature. After the white hole, we cannot explain what is after that. There's only mathematical equations that can be able to that can help us explain, or at least help define what is after there. And it's not like a neutron star. It's something beyond that, something much more complicated that we as human beings, in our own language, any language, Japanese, Russian, whatever, English, we cannot comprehend without math.
I don't know. Math's an interesting one because I feel like. Didn't we? I feel like we talked about this. Like,
your mic's kind of messing up.
Oh, sorry about that. Is it better?
I think so.
Okay, yeah.
You're good.
So, math's kind of like a language in itself. That like, we explain things with like these mathematical equations and like relativity and quantum mechanics and whatever, and it kind of just assists us in our language. If you think about it, math is kind of a part of our language. It's not like when we have all these numbers and concepts, we have a language label for them. Like the word 1, 2, 3. Even though it's kind of referring to a concept of 1, 2, and 3, there's still like a language that's necessary for that communicating the 1, 2, and 3. There's like, at the very minimum, language is necessary for communicating math, even if math exists independently of language. Because if we didn't have language, then even if math existed, like, it would be worthless. Like, well, even if math exists to like monkeys, what good is it to them? Like, well, they might understand. They might understand, like, I don't know how many grapes they're getting, or how many, whatever mathematical concept. How many mates that they've mated with or whatever, but it's no good to them because they can't communicate it at all. It doesn't really mean anything. Like, in our human like concept of explaining things through math, they couldn't do that. But we can because we have language.
Well, that's a good point, but that brings up a different question: Is math a man-made thing or something the universe has given us, has developed? And the question there, if we didn't exist, can a monkey use it? Does it know it's there if we're not existent?
That's like a age-old question. But I was reading this other article about kind of the gaps in modern science, like regarding like the relationship between philosophy and science, kind of. And there's this interesting kind of chapter, like paragraph he was talking about mathematics and the laws of the universe. And the way we define most of the laws of the universe is through mathematics, like entropy and uh, like gravity and all these theories. We use mathematics for most of them. But it like when scientists talk about the beginning of the universe, like how it all started, Big Bang, whatever theory they have.
Big Bang.
I know the most recent thing that I've been reading about is like fluctuations in quantum vacuums, which is that like nothingness has quantum values even though it's nothing. It's like I don't know, it's a weird thing. I don't understand it at all, but it's like some new meta shit they're talking about. Anyway, so yeah, if the Big Bang were to happen and whatever, science like when they're trying to calculate all these things, they presuppose that when the Big Bang happened or whenever the universe was created, all the laws of nature already existed. Because all this relativity, all this quantum mechanics are like the all the matter and energy in the universe abides by those laws that we make up like by default. That but the question is, could those things have been created? Like could quantum mechanics have been created with the Big Bang like simultaneously at that same instant, and then as a result all the things followed those mechanical principles? Or were the laws of nature that we define them mathematically always there no matter what, and the energy just happened to be released and then it abided by those things? Like I don't know, it got me like pretty interested because that
Right.
I never really thought about the beginning of the universe that way, but it seems that, or at least what he was trying to say is that most scientific theories presuppose like some sort of law of nature in order to explain the beginning of the universe. But I don't know, it's kind of like not paradoxical, but maybe paradoxical because that implies that something of that sort, that law or that like principle had to exist before that energy or that matter existed. I don't know. It's like are these mathematical principles tangible at all? Could they have been created? It's a really like kind of meta question.
So
I can't really wrap my hand around it.
so
Yet.
it's like can it was damn it, I can't either.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll keep thinking about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, new topic. Do you want to continue or
Did we have anything else? I don't
YouTube?
know.
YouTube.
Oh yeah, YouTube.